the turnout that they're seeing there, that it continues to look strong, especially with Puerto Rican voters in that area. And we know there's been a lot of conversation about that and the way they reacted and felt about the comments in that community at Donald Trump's last rally in Madison Square Garden. And this campaign continues to feel that rally really will be a turning point, and they believe it will drive the state's large Puerto Rican population towards Kamala Harris.
We'll see where the night stands at the end of the night. Let's get back over to Klein, Rick. In looking at Georgia, I know more.
Hi.
Yeah, I presume a number of these votes come from the rural counties that are starting to drive up Donald Trump's quite significant lead at this point. 10% of the vote in, but just looking at the board, where are these votes coming from?
Yeah, it is the rural parts of the state. A lot of these counties don't have nearly as many residents. Trump hitting his marks in some, not hitting his marks in others. As we mentioned, a couple of the suburban counties in just outside Atlanta.
Hello.
That Harris is outperforming Joe Biden at this hour. I don't want to scare people with this graphic, but we got a lot of vote left. Those big blue dots, that means there's a ton of Democratic vote in that part of the state. You're going to have to wait for that to come in. But we have been tracking some interesting things with the early vote so far. Because it isn't coming in from everything in the state, this gives you a snapshot of the rural returns, a 2-to-1 margin so far in the early vote, because of where it is in from.
Harris. I am Team Harris all the way.
The votes are actually coming in, which explains the differential right there. 62% to 36%. Again, very early, 10% of the vote in. As Rick points out, early vote for many of the rural counties. Let's get out to Steve Ogunsami. He covers Georgia for us. He actually lives there in Georgia, knows it better than any of us here in the studio. And you talked to Secretary of State Raffensperger, Steve. He's happy with the turnout today and how things are going?
Yes, the Secretary of State says that he's seeing about 1.2 estimated voters today. He's very happy with how things have been going.
Why is Trump even winning? He shouldn't be winning. He shouldn't even be able to try out to be president.
The Russians to poll workers in Fulton County, that was a bit of concern. Some of those polls were allowed to stay open just a little later to account for the time that those polls had to be closed while they were doing a sweep of those locations just to be safe, to make sure that people are safe in those polls. We sat down with him a few weeks ago and talked about some of the issues that we've been talking about today, about the confidence in the election here, especially after what happened 4 years ago.
Can you hear the TV?
Voters have had that led to a number of laws that affected the way that we vote here in Georgia, and he was confident that people would feel that this would be using his words, a clean election. And it's very interesting to look at some of those data points from the exit polling that suggest that people on both sides of the aisle sort of feel that there is some confidence in the election here. And so that, of course, is a win for the Secretary of State. I want to underline something that Rick has been pointing out, and that is that I, too, have been talking with officials here in the Trump campaign who have been pointing out that when you look at the highest turnout so far, when you look at the turnout percentages across the state of Georgia, the counties that lead the way are deep red counties, some as high as 70%, which is absolutely incredible. The only issue there, of course, is that most of the people who live in this state live in the metro counties in what has now become a very blue part of Georgia. And of course, we're waiting to see those votes still come in tonight.
Steve Ogunsami live in Atlanta for us. Steve, thanks so much. And as Steve was talking about, perhaps maybe he didn't see the Rick Klein map with the blob on the map. That was the most exciting thing Donna Brazile has seen all night. That big blue circle around the Atlanta metro area, which means a lot of the vote still needs to be counted in Atlanta. Speaking of Donna Brazile, Reince Priebus, Governor Chris Christie, they're all here. Can't wait to hear their take. What they're watching tonight as we go into the night, what they think both candidates need to do to get across that finish line. We're going to be right back right after this. ABC News live coverage of Election Night 2024 continues right after this.
Friday night, a firefighter gunned down in his own driveway. Stunning true crime.
Every step was shocking.
Who voted Trump? That is.
We've got just the thing to get you into the holiday spirit. It's Stop & Central's Holiday Open House, Monday only, Saturday, November 9th. Save 20% store-wide and find great deals on holiday merchandise, brand name clothing, furniture, kitchenware, even toys and sporting goods. It's 20% off nearly everything you need to make your holidays merrier. So celebrate the season
Oh my god, who is voting Trump? They're not okay. Okay, peace. I guess.
Take it from here. Yeah, what was that?
Was that magic? Because it looked like magic.
It had magic. Nah, well, maybe a little bit.
In Garage Delivery has arrived. Get started today at Amazon.com/e.
Black Friday football on Prime is back. The Raiders, the Chiefs. Friday, November 29th. Black Friday football. Kickoff at 3 p.m. Eastern, pregame at 1:30 p.m. Only on Prime.
Yeah, I can try something else. Can you see the TV from right here? I don't know if you can. Oh.
You're watching Wild Comedy. You're watching Off the Rails Comedy. This is National Lampoon. Nothing but
Your voice, your vote. Election Night 2024. Live from New York City. Here again, David Muir.
48 minutes past the hour now. We've got some new results coming in from the state of Vermont. Independent Senator Bernie Sanders, of course, seeking a fourth term there. 83 years old, and you remember he ran for president in 2016 and 2020. He's been reelected in Vermont. He'll return to the Senate. And in the governor's race in that state, Republican Governor Phil Scott, who is seeking a fifth two-year term, he will be continuing in his role as governor of that state. He's been reelected tonight.
I want Harris to win.
They're past the 270 tonight. Where things stand is still very early in the night, but as you can see, Kamala Harris winning one state, 3 electoral votes. Donald Trump, 3 states, 23 electoral votes. Got a ways to go, don't we? All right, let's get to Donna Brazil, Ryan's previous Chris Christie. First of all, Donna Brazil, what are you hearing from the Harris campaign tonight? You used to be the chair of the DNC. How do they feel tonight?
Very excited about the turnout. Look, they put a lot of effort into not just getting out the early vote, but getting people to vote today. In addition to those college students, you have neighborhoods after neighborhoods in Cobb, Fulton, and DeKalb County. They're still in line. Some of those polling stations in Fulton, I believe they're open for extended hours, not only because people were in line, but also because they had some technicalities during the day. Look, I'm excited. This was a turnout fever day. The Republicans figured out how to do the early voting day. Good. But we've been doing both the early voting as well as turning out our voters today. So that's going to be a boogie that the Republicans will not see until we beat them in a couple hours.
Well, that's an yeah. Well, let me take that question to you, Ryan, because that is an interesting question. The numbers are really impressive on the Republican side of the early vote, and we know part of that is just Donald Trump embraced it this time around. Was there an apparatus?
All right, have fun.
Structure to then get out the vote, additional votes? Obviously, they've already come on election day anyway, but new voters into the fold. Or were these voters in the early vote people who would have shown up on election day anyway?
No, actually, when you look at all these battleground states, one of the things that we measure in the party is how many people voted early that never voted before. That's an important number because that way you can prove that you weren't cannibalizing your election day vote. In that category, the Republicans, as they're labeled, now some of them might drift off, but they beat the Democrats in every one of those states in that category. I can tell you from talking to the Trump campaign, and I did talk to the president earlier today, but tonight, the Trump campaign's excited about Florida. Because if you look at Florida, 10 points up with 70% of the vote in, the panhandle doesn't come in until the 8 p.m. hour because that's the central time zone. That number is going to go up. So really what we have to look at now as a whole so far is just Florida. Virginia's been going back and forth. North Carolina's been going back and forth. And there's a county in South Carolina and Indiana that isn't in. Those are the things that I'm looking at to see what the signs are tonight for where this is going.
Just back to that point, because I think it's a key point. So in the early vote, the Trump campaign, and looking at the numbers, believes that it leads the Harris campaign when it comes to new voters in the early vote.
That's right. So, yes, that's right. Because, you know, there's always been said that, yeah, the Republicans are voting early, but they're just taking election day votes, cannibalizing those, and dumping them in the early vote bucket. But the way that you can analyze that is to say, okay, how many of these people that voted either didn't vote before, or maybe only voted once over the past 6 years? Those are what we call zero voters, which are the people who never voted, and one voters, which are people who rarely vote. That's the real number that these campaigns analyze going into today.
Governor Christie, what are you watching?
Well, look, what I'm watching is when we stop speculating about early vote, which is all we're really doing now, except in a few places. Think about what happened in the primary, in the Republican primary, in these swing states. In Pennsylvania, 157,000 people voted against Donald Trump, with no opponent any longer in the race. In North Carolina, it was 300,000 Republican primary voters.
Guys, I'm gonna try to do something so I don't hold the scene.
It was 250,000. So where do those people go? Are they in the early vote or in election day vote? Are they going to actually go back to Trump? Or are they going to vote for Harris, or are they going to stay home? And those are not soft R's. There'll be some independents in there depending upon the rules. But those are Republican primary voters who said, with no opponent, everyone had withdrawn at that point in those states. They weren't voting for Donald Trump anyway, and they voted for Nikki Haley as a placeholder because she's the only one left. I want to see what happens in those states with those voters, because a lot of these assumptions that the Trump campaign is making on the early vote when they see Republicans is, oh, we're going to get 95, 96% of that. But if these numbers are an indication, they might have a lower number, and that will hurt them in those states.
I hope you can see that.
And Mary Bruce, we were talking about this. Nikki Haley, she did endorse, obviously, Donald Trump. She wrote an op-ed just this week in the Wall Street Journal, but she wasn't out there on the trail. You saw the Madison Square Garden rally, for example. No Nikki Haley to be seen, and I'm sure the Harris campaign was likely glad that that happened, that Nikki Haley wasn't on the trail.
Yeah, they
Oh,
sure
wait,
are.
I could just do this.
Very aggressive to reach out to those disillusioned, dissatisfied Republican voters, especially Republican women, who make it to tolerate the idea of a second term. You have seen the Harris campaign, out there. She's been in every single key program in blue wall states with Liz Cheney by her side, urging Republicans to get out there and vote. And they continue to believe that they, have a real shot tonight winning over some of those Nikki Haley voters. And I think they were probably a little bit astounded that Donald Trump didn't take the opportunity to get Nikki Haley out there with us.
It really is a remarkable thing, John. We just got 2 minutes before this break, but to have Liz Cheney saying you can go into that booth, you don't have to tell anyone how you voted, and vote with confidence.
And Liz Cheney has told me she thinks there is a hidden Harris vote. We'll see if that is. But I want to come back to what Ryan said about Florida. Donald Trump won Florida by less than 4 points last time. Barely won it by just over 1 point in 2016. And with 74% of the vote in, they count early in Florida. They count quickly in Florida. He has a 10-point lead, far surpassing where he was against Joe Biden 4 years ago. That's just Florida. Nobody thought that Kamala Harris was going to win Florida, but that's got to be a concerning sign going forward, because it's a big state that we actually have a lot of returns in, and she's significantly trailing where Joe Biden was 4 years ago.
And the makeup of that state hasn't changed dramatically in 4 years.
And look, Ryan's made another good point that we haven't counted anything in the Panhandle yet, which is the most solidly Republican part of the state. So that number is that margin is gonna widen out, and you see her in county after county underperforming where Democrats were 4 years ago.
In the state of Florida, I will point out, for some reason, the Harris campaign seemed to know this was coming, maybe not this extreme, and they said, don't look at Florida to extrapolate much, but it's got to be a little alarming when they see that the margin is far wider than Joe Biden just 4 years ago. In the state of Florida. It's now coming up 5 minutes before 8 o'clock here. The key state of Pennsylvania closes at 8 p.m. 16 states about to begin reporting, including the Keystone State. 19 electoral votes are for grabs there. Just to bring you up to speed, Georgia, North Carolina have already closed. Also key battleground states. I see Rick over at the board. New numbers coming in. Top of the hour, we'll tell you where this race stands. Don't go away. ABC News live coverage of the presidential race 2024 continues from election night headquarters.
Moments from now, we're live across the country as results come in. Polls are already closed in 9 states. They're about to close in 16 more states, including the pivotal state of Pennsylvania, when Election Night 2024 continues on ABC. Deadpool and Wolverine streaming November 12th on Disney Plus. Watch again and again and again and again.
I don't think we really care about ads. So, oh gosh, it's 50-50. Ah,
We've got just the
there we
thing to
go.
get you into the holiday spirit. It's Stuff, etc.'s holiday
So
offer.
it's ads right now. So yeah.
Save 20% store-wide. And every find great deals on holiday merchandise, brand name
There we
clothing,
go.
furniture, kitchenware, even toys and sporting goods. It's 20% off nearly everything you need to make your holidays
Guys, I'm so scared. It's really close.
Saturday, November 9th.
Hi.
Stevie Wonder. Talk about Stevie Wonder, one of the greatest musicians ever.
It's just an ad right now. Don't worry.
It's not just a love song, it's love of humanity.
That album taught me to dream. I never even heard sounds like that.
Stevie made me see myself differently. Stevie influenced everybody.
People to think the sounds that I was hearing in my mind. It was exciting. This is the wonder of Stevie.
At Amazon, we're helping customers more easily discover products that meet sustainability standards and support our commitment to help preserve the natural world. We collaborate with trusted certifications, including Regenerative Organic Certified, whose organic products.
I'm voting for Harris. Well, I'm too young to vote, so my parents are voting for Harris.
On the sustainability journey we are all on together. Shop your values on Amazon.com. Hey there, it's me, Winona Earp of the Demon Killing Earth.
I choose Harris.
On a road trip with Doc Holliday.
We are Tennessee bound.
As for Purgatory, there are more tales to tell.
That's still an ad.
Black Friday football on Prime is back. The Raiders, the Chiefs. Friday, November 29th. Black Friday football.
I can't vote either.
3 p.m. Only on Prime.
Chess ad.
Sarah and Amy out window shopping spotted color vintage dress. Size hiccup? No worries. Sarah takes
Can you see the TV?
Amazon app to find similar styles, ensuring a perfect surprise. Friendship and fashion, seamlessly tailored with Amazon Lens.
Can you see the TV?
Check.
At Amazon Pharmacy, your medication is guided by a licensed pharmacist and delivered straight to your door on your time.
Wherever news breaks, ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Now 8 p.m. in the east, the polls have now closed in half the country, including the critical battleground states of Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. At this hour, you can see Pennsylvania, the numbers are not coming in yet. 19 electoral votes from that state alone. We're getting reports of long lines. The Harris campaign encouraging particularly young voters, too, at some of these universities to stay in line. They have celebrities FaceTiming with them, engaging with the voters in those lines. Really, 90% of the time, the person running, if you win Pennsylvania, you win the presidency. The map becomes very difficult if either one of these does not win the state of Pennsylvania. So we'll come back to that as soon as the numbers start coming in. Take a look at North Carolina as another key battleground. 16 electoral votes. Right now, Kamala Harris leading Donald Trump with 5% of the vote in, 51, almost 52% there, 47% Donald Trump. Georgia tonight, 16 electoral votes, and as you can see, Trump up by about 10 points right now, 33% of the vote in. Rick Klein pointing out that a number of the votes that have been accounted for so far come from deep red rural counties in Georgia, but we're going to watch that very closely. We do have a key state that used to be a battleground where we can now declare a winner. ABC News now projecting that Donald Trump will win the state of Florida, his home state. Florida, popular Florida governor there, Ron DeSantis as well, who ran against Donald Trump in the primary. Donald Trump will pick up the 30 electoral votes from his home state of Florida. That's with 77% of the vote coming in. Donald Trump also winning tonight, Tennessee, 11 electoral votes there. He won it in 2020, wins it again. Missouri, Donald Trump picks up 10 more electoral votes. Donald Trump wins the state of Alabama, 9 electoral votes from Alabama. In Oklahoma tonight, one of the most Republican states in the country, Donald Trump picks up another 7 electoral votes. Vice President Kamala Harris wins in the solidly Democratic state of Massachusetts, 11 electoral votes. Joe Biden, of course, won there handily by 33 points 4 years ago. Vice President Kamala Harris winning the state of Maryland tonight, 10 electoral votes there. We're going to be watching that Senate race very closely. The District of Columbia tonight, 3 electoral votes. The winner, Vice President Kamala Harris. In Illinois tonight, we're watching the raw numbers coming in. Obviously, too early to call. As soon as we've got numbers on the board, we'll go back to that. 19 electoral votes up for grab. New Jersey, not a winner yet, 14 electoral votes. The polls have just closed in Connecticut as well. They closed in Mississippi. They closed in Maine. And in New Hampshire, a lot of talk about New Hampshire in these recent days. Kamala Harris had held a commanding lead in some of the polls. As it got closer to Election Day, some of those polls tightened, so there'll be some interest in New Hampshire tonight. In Rhode Island, they just closed the polls there. 4 electoral votes up for grabs. In Delaware, 3 electoral votes up for grabs. They've just closed the polls there. Let's take a look at the map so far. Kamala Harris winning 3 states in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump picking up 8 states tonight. As you can see, the electoral count right there on your screen, 27 to 90 on the race to 270. We do have a key Senate race we're going to call at this hour. ABC News can also project that Rick Scott, the senator from Florida, will return to the Senate. He's been seeking a second term. He will return to the Senate to represent Florida. Our coverage of the 2024 presidential election continues right here live on ABC.
This is an ABC News special. The time has finally come. Right now, all across America, votes are being counted. Who will be your next president?
I pledge to be a president for all Americans.
Our country will be greater than ever before.
On this historic night, with the stakes so high,
When we fight, we win.
We will make America great again.
America's already
great. Election headquarters in New York City.
Who agrees with me?
David Moore.
Did someone say hi? Oh, hi, Echo. Hi, Moon. I know.
Vice President Kamala Harris, former President Donald Trump, both relying on Pennsylvania to try to win the White House. At this hour, millions of voters remain in line, waiting to cast their ballots in what many consider to be one of the most high-stakes elections in recent history. Again, Mary Bruce reporting in our last hour, the Harris campaign working to keep those voters in line in Pennsylvania.
Guys, Trump's on the lead to 270. He's leading.
Of course, as it expected, with the Keystone State,
27 to 90.
Right? And so we're really paying attention to what happens here. This is a state that obviously has flip-flopped the last 3 presidential elections. When Obama, then it went
Call you N? Okay.
It is up for grabs tonight. Look, so far with the independent vote, 24% of those who voted in Pennsylvania identify as independent voters. Highly coveted group here. So far, breaking toward Donald Trump. 50% of those independent voters in Pennsylvania saying that they went for Donald Trump compared to 44% for Kamala Harris. But look, we're going to talk about some significant turning points. There have been a number of them, obviously, in this election, okay? But let's start in particular here. Madison Square Garden just a few weeks ago. You have 580,000 registered Latino voters in the state of Pennsylvania, half of them Puerto Rican. There were those offensive comments that were made during Madison Square Garden during that rally. Look at this.
I hope. Oh, 1 second,
57%
guys.
going for Kamala Harris again. Preliminary, these numbers
I hope that Harris wins.
portion of the Hispanic voters in Pennsylvania.
If Harris wins, I'm gonna cry. I mean, if Harris doesn't win, I'm gonna cry.
Biden won 15% of the Latino vote in
I need Harris to win for me. Like, please.
Look at this. For the union,
I need to check these votes.
50% of those voters in Pennsylvania identified as part of the union, or they have a household member who's part of the union. 56% going for Kamala Harris. Trump is actually down 8 points from where he was.
Bye, Echo.
Really interesting, but that number on independents.
I'm voting for Harris.
Preliminary exit polls for the Harris campaign so far. Let's get right over to Rick Klein. Have any of the numbers come in on Pennsylvania?
Yeah, actually, we've heard from officials in Pittsburgh today be fast, and they kept true to their word. A little bit of a surprise because we often wait for the big cities. It's not all the vote there, about a quarter of it. As expected, you're seeing Kamala Harris open up a bit of a lead there. That's where she needs to win. And of course, this part of the vote right now is almost all voting by mail vote. You'd expect her to be winning voters like this. So that's the first numbers we're seeing, and that accounts for all of the lead that we see right now.
My parents are watching the election downstairs.
Needs to run up big numbers, and of course she's doing that so far tonight. This is an interesting one because Joe Biden actually did a little less well than Hillary Clinton did in the state of Philadelphia. Harris, again, very early, doing slightly better. And the story in Pennsylvania a little different than some other states. This is the share of the electorate that was Democrat versus Republican in 2024. You see it was a 20-point edge. It was bigger last time around, but that amounts to a huge margin, a couple 100,000 votes that the Democrats almost certainly banked before Election Day, a relatively smaller share of those unaffiliated voters in Pennsylvania. So early vote was more of a bright spot for Democrats, and in the early numbers we see so far in Pennsylvania, that's bearing out.
Yes, it wasn't a huge margin going into today, but definitely a margin that they were glad to have for the Harris campaign. Let's go back to Allegheny County, if you would. They said they would be early. They've got a good batch of votes in already. Just give us that metric, that benchmark, where both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump need to be at this point in Allegheny County.
Sure, because you need to win in the cities if you're a Democrat. The benchmark there, Kamala Harris needs to be getting almost 60% of the vote. Right now, she's well into the 70s. You can see it kind of tracks where the Democrats have been the last couple of election cycles when Hillary Clinton narrowly lost. Joe Biden.
Guys, can I just be like old enough to vote, please?
It's going to trend a little more blue than this.
Hi again, Echo.
That's the trend we're seeing in a bunch of states.
We'll come back to Pennsylvania in a moment. I don't want to leave you yet, Rick. Let's look at North Carolina and Georgia, bring people up to speed here, where we are in those battlegrounds.
Yeah, we're just starting to see some vote out of North Carolina, only about 7% in right now. Greenville is one of the places that we have our eyes on. Kamala Harris right now running a little bit below Joe Biden, and right now slightly below where her benchmark would be. Also, this is the research triangle up in Orange County. This is the University of North Carolina. That's big for Kamala Harris, and it needs to be big for Kamala Harris. So when you look at a 50-point lead, remember that's about what she needs to be doing in that county. And then in Georgia, look, we're seeing a good amount of the vote in now, a little bit more than a third.
Yeah, we would be cooked if everyone at our school voted, because half of the school likes Trump.
Some of the early vote, and we can see Harris opening up a very big lead that cut the deficit that we've seen so far. Maybe more interesting than that, though, is going to be counties like Fayette. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the night. Kamala Harris is down narrowly there, but look at what happened the last couple of election cycles there. Hillary Clinton was getting less than 40% of the vote. Joe Biden's number jumps up to 45. Harris's number is now approaching 50, and that's the kind of place that she needs to overperform if you're going to keep Georgia in that column. The inverse of that is some of the redder counties up around a little bit further outside of Cherokee County. Donald Trump netting 50,000
Who is winning? I think Trump's winning.
Hitting his marks in some more rural areas, running up big numbers, and we're seeing her perform pretty well in some major cities and the suburbs where you have numbers so far.
Can you show us the metric with the circles of it so we get a sense in Georgia, at least at this hour, where we're going to go?
Yeah.
This is really telling. Everyone at home should take a look at this. It just shows you that Atlanta metro area, which looms so large, that just gives you an idea of the percentage of the vote that still has to come in, because we're only looking at 37% of the vote in. Kamala Harris 43 to Donald Trump's 56, a commanding lead. But again, as Rick points out, a lot of this comes from the rural counties where Donald Trump is performing at the benchmark where he needs to be in order to pull off a Georgia victory. Again, Biden won it by about 11,000 votes 4 years ago. Of course, President Trump would like to take that victory this time around. Back to Pennsylvania, because it is 8 o'clock here. It is 10 minutes past 8 o'clock. The Keystone State, the polls have just closed there. I want to get to Matt. Matt, what are you hearing on the ground as far as both campaigns?
Yeah, you should post something. Echo, come to my house.
Just talked about in Allegheny County and specifically in Philadelphia. Maybe the early mail-in ballot might even it out some, but they really need to be making those gains
in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, the places where they are strong, running up the score there, and then try to poach some of those votes from the more rural counties here. So they are going to be pleased by that. But one of the things that we are seeing, David, are these very long lines in some of the key battleground counties. I've spoken to election officials in 11 of the battleground counties. In one of the Northampton County, they're looking at 7-hour waits to vote. Polling machines went down there. An election official in nearby Lackawanna County or Missouri County didn't show up for an hour and a half this morning, delaying the vote by an hour and a half. They went to court. They extended the vote there. One of the things that elections officials here have been telling me about for well over about 2 weeks, they're concerned about the threat environment here. There have been a lot of threats, and one of the major things that they think that the electorate forgets is the human factor. There are human beings who are running these machines, who are running these polling stations, and they want people to remember that there will be times that somebody forgets to plug in the machine or doesn't turn on the lights outside in the parking lot, and that doesn't mean that there is conspiracy, and it doesn't mean that there is fraud. But already the Trump campaign jumping back on that, telling or making allegations on Twitter that there has been fraud here in Philadelphia, specifically something that the DA has said is just not happening. Governor Josh Shapiro has been telling me for days that the allegations of fraud, a blatant lie, he says, David.
Back up in Pennsylvania tonight for us, Matt. Thanks so much. I do want to call another state here for Donald Trump, South Carolina. We can announce ABC News projecting at this hour. Donald Trump wins the state of South Carolina, 9 electoral votes. In the state of South Carolina, obviously that was safe GOP. He won by 12 points back in 2020. Was expected that he would win again this time, and he has. He's picked up the state of South Carolina. What more do we know about Pennsylvania, Rick? Anything more coming in?
We haven't seen much new yet, but we're starting to see it begin to roll in. I've been keeping an eye on this. This is a state that actually votes mostly on election day, so that's why we're going to wait for the most part. But as what we've seen so far of the early vote, it is overwhelmingly Kamala Harris, a 50-point margin. And again, this is an area where a state where the Democrats almost certainly banked a lot of votes.
Echo, I don't like your grandma anymore.
Thanks over the big board. We'll come back to Rick in just a moment. We have another race we can call tonight. This comes from North Carolina. Not the presidential race, but the race for governor in that state. Roy Cooper, obviously, he's term limited. The Democrat, Josh Stein, the attorney general in that state, will now become the governor of North Carolina. Josh Stein beats Mark Robinson, lieutenant governor. He was the Republican. He'd been endorsed by Donald Trump, John Carl Donald Trump, when asked about Mark Robinson and the reporting from CNN about some of the things that Mark Robinson had called himself and the websites that he had frequented. Donald Trump said, I don't know much, I haven't heard about that guy, or haven't heard about that race, I'm not really watching.
Yeah, before that, he called him Martin Luther King on steroids and campaigned with him. But once that story came out, Donald Trump quickly disowned him and made it clear he wanted nothing to do with him.
Now, as far as the presidential race in that state, I'm sure the Harris campaign is hoping for some of the win.
Okay, I like your other grandma.
Win to help them, but because there was such a scandal on the other side with the governor's race, it wasn't expected to carry across the finish line necessarily.
I mean, the thing was, it kind of took the governor's race completely out of the picture. And what you count on when you are trying to win as a team is you need to get a big force out there. Democrats needing to get the votes out to win the governor's race as well as the presidential race. The governor's race was a non-factor. But look, Democrats think North Carolina was clearly the best chance to pick up a state that Donald Trump wanted.
So let's take it, John, right over to Rachel Scott, because you covered North Carolina. You were there with Donald Trump these last couple of days. And this is this whole notion of split tickets and whether or not Josh Stein and this victory we've called fairly early in the night, will that
Hi, and
to the finish line in the state that the Trump campaign in late days became a little concerned about.
Yeah, again, in a state that Donald Trump won twice, both in 2016 and in 2020, the only battleground state where he's on defense tonight. David, I want to show you.
And have you been on one of my
We have this compare button here where you can see how the gubernatorial candidates were doing here compared to the presidential candidates. So you can see.
But I forgot. Guys, I'm stupid. I forgot. But hi, and by the way, and I go by Ash on my YouTube channel.
You can see here, this is exactly why Stein is pulling ahead here, performing better than Donald Trump in this state, the state that Donald Trump won twice. This is exactly why former President Donald Trump was not even campaigning with Robinson in this state after all that controversy came to light.
And while we have you there, let's look at the presidential race where it stands at this hour in North Carolina.
Yeah. So we just checked Greenville. Let's go back to it. The county of Pitt here. Let's see how Vice President Kamala Harris is doing compared to President Biden. He was at 54%. She's at 52. You have 75% of the vote in. Let's check the benchmark to see how she's performing. All right, so a little bit of ways to go here. Our 538 benchmark has her at 54. She's at 52 currently. Let's go take a look at the research triangle over here. Raleigh, Durham. Let's take a look at Orange County. 86% of the vote in. Vice President Kamala Harris at 75. Donald Trump at 20. Let's take a look at the benchmark. Performing about right where she needs to be.
Interesting. All right, we're going to continue to watch North Carolina. Lindsay, you've got some exit polls from North Carolina. What do the voters say?
Sure do, and I think that there are a few things worth pointing out in North Carolina. 1/5 of the population actually lives in an area that was devastated by Hurricane Helene. There are a number of headlines that basically say there are a number of people who lost their homes, lost their possessions, but they are still turning out to vote and make their voices heard. Another thing that's significant, North Carolina is one of very few battleground states that has a significant portion of black population. 22% of the electorate is black. It's also home to the research triangle, so you have a number of college graduates there in North Carolina. That's where we'll begin with the white college grads. 31% of the electorate there identify as graduating from college, and they are breaking no surprise there for Kamala Harris. 52%, so more than half of those college grads going for going for Kamala Harris. Versus, look at this, Donald Trump losing. He's down again. This is preliminary. These numbers will change, but what we have right now, he has lost 3%.
Donald Trump is losing, guys. And the echo, Donald Trump is losing.
Now, as for whites with no college, again, no surprise here. Donald Trump almost getting 3/4 of that population there. And again, whites with no college in North Carolina account for about 38% of the electorate. Now, look at this. Harris really taking some strides from where Biden was in 2020. She's up 6 points with those whites with no college degree. So very significant, something that they can celebrate tonight.
According to the exit polls, we're going to see if it bears out in the actual votes over on the map. And we're tracking North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Georgia at this hour. New data coming in, and we're going to get right back to the boards right after this. ABC News live coverage of the presidential election continues right here in a moment. Don't go away.
Your voice, your vote. ABC News Election Night 2024 continues in a moment. Nearly 30 years ago, Mediacom was founded on a powerful idea: bring cutting-edge broadband to underserved communities.
Okay, guys. It is an ad. It's not gonna see me zoomed up because I zoomed it up so you can see the TV. I need to check the poll. Okay, it's 50-50, the poll.
Mediacom, decades of dedication, decades of delivery, decades ahead.
Hey there, it's me, one Heather of the I'm currently on a road trip with my main tip, Doc Holliday.
I will never break a promise to my girl. We are Tennessee bound.
As for purgatory, there are more tales to tell. You're a witch here, warlock. It's all too weird. I'm thinking more angel of mercy. Welcome to the freak show. Hope you brought popcorn.
Welcome to the freak show. Freak show. Welcome to the freak show. Nothing's exciting's happening, guys. Don't get mad at me that I'm blocking the TV. You did a community post? Okay, I'll check it after my live. Might end it soon, because my phone's about to die. And yeah, I need to check the group chat. Ah, no, not again.
Interesting.
Get into more of what you're into with Fire TV.
Black Friday football on Prime is back. The Raiders, the Chiefs. Friday, November 29th. Black Friday football. Kickoff at 3 p.m. Eastern, pregame at 1:30 p.m. Only on Prime.
Well, I don't blame your parents. It's very risky. My dad said he says he's gonna stay up like all night just to watch it.
with you is a turning point in my life.
This is ABC News coverage of Election Night 2024. Here again, David Muir.
We're so glad you're with us here at ABC News. You're looking live at the tracker of the battleground states tonight. As you can see, the key state of Georgia won by President Biden 4 years ago by just about 11,000 votes. Donald Trump leading Kamala Harris by about 10 points there. Again, many of this is rural counties of the Atlanta metro area. We're waiting for a significant amount of the vote to come in. North Carolina at this hour, Kamala Harris with the lead. Again, it's still early, and this is a reflection in large part of the early vote of Rick Klein standing by in a moment. We'll break that down why that is. And of course, Pennsylvania, the polls closing there just 21 minutes ago. Mary Bruce reporting there are long lines. The campaign trying to keep Harris voters in line to encourage them to get their voice heard. Kamala Harris taking the early lead there in Pennsylvania, but again, very early in the night in these states. But we are getting more data in from North Carolina, Rick, and what does it tell us?
Yeah, right now Harris has a mild lead. It's mostly the early vote, and that is about 3/4 of the vote overall. And you can see she's leading by about 9 points among early voters. That's the margins that she's racking up. One of the counties we have a lot of information on is Orange County, where UNC is. It's a college town. That is going very, very blue for Kamala Harris, but she's just about hitting that 538 benchmark, just about doing what she needs to do in that county.
Rick Klein, we're at the big board tracking North Carolina. We're going to get new data in from Pennsylvania in a moment. We'll go back to Georgia as well. We're going to take a break for your local news. They're going to update you on your local races, and then the whole team is standing by. A lot of numbers just coming into these key battleground states. We'll see in just a couple of minutes here. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
Mediacom Mobile.
What?
You'll love the service and the savings. Unbeatable nationwide coverage. Unlimited data. Unbelievably
Thanks,
affordable.
Echo.
Switch and save 30% or more over the top 3 mobile providers. Get unlimited mobile for just $40 per line per month. Bam. No hidden fees, no contracts. Switching is cake. Keep your phone, keep your number, keep everything you love, except the big bill. Mediacom Mobile. Call or shop online.
I never understood the importance of serum. People have given me some to try, but since I've been using the Tubula serum, I've seen a huge difference in the quality and the appearance of my skin. I can suffer from dark spots. I have very sensitive skin. I love that it repairs and protects my skin. I love the way it absorbs. It feels so good. It's clean. It smells amazing. A serum is a critical part of my skincare routine. You need it to deliver on so many things, and this does that.
Shop Nordstrom at TrueBotanicals.com.
Yo, partner.
We're not partners. I'm the detective and you are the consultant. I see you brought your baby to a crime scene.
She is just spectating. You're a single mom with 3 kids pretending to be a cop.
I am not pretending. I spot things the detectives miss. Still think my theory's flimsy?
That big brain of hers is going to help us close a lot of cases.
Out here, super passive. High Potential, all new next Tuesday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. You are
We need
watching
Harris.
ABC News, and the race to
We
the
need
White House
Harris.
election coverage is well
We need
underway.
Harris.
Already closing
We
in
need
some key
Harris.
states, including crucial battleground Pennsylvania. We are seeing results.
If
in
Trump
several
wins,
states
I'm
now.
offing
Let's take a
myself.
look at some of the major ones. ABC News now projecting Trump will win South Carolina, Florida, and West Virginia. ABC News also projecting Harris wins Maryland, Massachusetts, and D.C. Now to the nationwide numbers. With 13% of the vote in, Trump in the lead with about 53% reporting. Of course, this is on the road.
Trump's in the lead again.
Now to our Jay O'Brien. He is outside Palm Beach County Convention Center in Florida, where former President Trump's watch party is taking place. Jay, what's the feeling there?
Yeah, Kira, there is this sense of optimism here. There is this sense that the night is early and that there are votes to still be counted in must-win states, particularly Pennsylvania. One other state emerging at this hour from both Republicans and Democrats that I've talked to, though, where there is a lot of attention, and there's a lot of attention across every single swing state, the 2 states to keep an eye on.
Too many of us. Oh, yeah.
That I've talked to, but also
I know.
Wisconsin. There's a feeling from both Republicans and Democrats that I've
But
chatted
Trump's
with,
not a
there is
good
intensity
person,
looking at
Echo.
Wisconsin
He's a really bad person. 37 felonies. 37.
To see when students would get out of class and possibly go to the polls and cast a ballot for Kamala Harris. That's the sense that some Democrats have. Republicans that I've talked to too. How close this race will be in some of those blue wall states where Kamala Harris really needs to have some momentum, Kira.
All right, Jay O'Brien will be talking a lot throughout the night. Thank you. Let's take a look now at Pennsylvania and where it stands this hour. Polls there have been closed for nearly 30 minutes with 8% reporting Harris in the lead at about 77%. Let's check in with our Matt Gutman, who's in Philly. Matt, the Keystone State, the last stop of the campaign trail for both Harris and Trump. How are election officials there feeling right now?
That was 13 hours of voting and now a lot of hours of nail biting and waiting for these officials, Kira. I would say that they're a little bit wary right now. There has been concern throughout this process and leading up to tonight that there would be violence. A primary concern for many of the officials I spoke to in the key battleground counties is that somebody would be hurt. That was their first concern. Second concern is that there would be destruction or violence at facilities. And third is that they would get the count in on time. It went peacefully today. Everybody's happy about that. But they're worried about the human factor. There were some early snafus that caused long lines. They just want people to know it's not a conspiracy. There is no fraud afoot. The elections, they say, have gone smoothly today. Kira.
All right, our Matt Gutman there in Philly. Matt, we'll be talking through the night as well. Let's take it now to Eva Pilgrim. She is at Howard University here in
I
Washington,
think
D.C.,
our
where Vice
poll
President Kamala Harris
ends at
is awaiting
9.
the results. Eva?
Kira, I gotta tell you, people here at Howard University are having a good time here tonight. You can hear the Howard University Gospel Choir.
By the way, I'm gonna go once the next ad comes up.
Harris's rallies have been like in the last several days. They have been like a festival. They have been a coming together. We're here in the yard at Howard, which is a gathering place for students in the community here, where people come together. And you know, it's really interesting that she chose to be here at Howard. A lot of candidates choose to be in their home state, but she refers to Howard as coming home, Kira.
All right, our Eva Pilgrim. Thank you so much, Eva. I'm Kira Phillips. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you'll stay with us here at ABC News. Our team will be bringing you election results all night long, led by our David Neer. So don't go far. Our race for the White House coverage continues.
Okay, guys, I've gotta go. Bye.